Hello, I can't come to the phone right now, so please leave your name, message, and phone number after the beep, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can.
Hey, it's Eric.
I didn't know an Eric, and I'd never heard the voice before.
I guess I missed you. I guess I'll hit you back, bro.
I'd been screening my calls since breaking up with the latest head case I'd been inadvertently drawn to. Another girl I thought I could heroically rescue, who told me straight off that she wasn't any good and that I shouldn't bother. That's like the 21st century siren song, you know? I'm on meds, I'm no good for you. Dashed against the rocks again. But enough about my train wreck of a love life, and back to Eric. What struck me right away was that Eric didn't say what he was calling about, who he was looking for, or how to get back in touch with him. Normal, of course, if he dialed a wrong number and thought the other party already knew it all. I kind of wanted to check the caller ID and tell him he dialed the wrong number. It's just this weird tick I have where the minute someone needs help, I'm cutting out my kidney for them. The phone rang again. Hello? I grabbed the phone before the first ring ended.
Hey, bro.
It was this Eric fellow again. Eric?
Yeah, what's up? What's going on? Your machine picked up.
I chuckled. You have the wrong number, man.
Is this 259?
I'm not posting my number. Yeah, that's my number, but you still have the wrong one, man.
Gosh, I don't think so, bro. Is this Tim?
Yes, it was. I was a bit shrewder than that, though, when I answered him. What's this about, by the way? I'm pretty clever, huh?
Oh, man, I got some of your mail, and before I knew it was yours, I opened it, and it's a phone bill, so...
I sucked my teeth, so it had my number on it. Yikes.
Exactly.
He laughed, sort of a half-stoner laugh, and I caught myself chuckling along with him.
I'll drop it in your box, bro. Just wanted to get in touch with you first so you knew it's out here. Not something you want in the hands of some fiendish dude.
He ended on a nefarious-sounding deep bass voice, and I laughed. Yeah, thanks, that'd be cool. Eric, was it?
That's right, Tim.
Thanks, Eric. I checked the mailbox a few hours later, but when I got to the gazebo that my apartment complex placed the boxes in, I saw Eric approaching. I figured it was him because he looked just like he sounded. Tall, fit, sandy blonde, kinda spiked up hair, tan with just enough stubble to look unkempt but not enough to look threatening. He was wearing a striped t-shirt over a white long-sleeve shirt and a pair of immaculate blue jeans and new-ish sneakers. I'm half kidding, but that is how he looked. But the real clue that gave it away was that he had an open envelope in his hand. Eric, I pointed at him with the false sense of familiarity that you show towards old friends that you've forgotten. Timmy, he did it back to me. I held my hand out and he slapped the letter in my hand with a flourish, and then he backed away, pointed at the sky, locked eyes with me, and did a weird little back and forth dance. Mission accomplished, achievement unlocked. He kept the laughs coming as I allowed him to high-five me, something which I usually loathed and regarded as peonic. Well, thanks. No problem, bro. The universe is right again. I smiled at Eric and he mirrored the expression. You take care now. I pointed at him again and turned to leave. You do the same, bro. All the way back to my apartment, I knew something was bothering me about the guy, but I couldn't put my finger on it. I expected some subhuman wretch that would have made painful conversation. Someone who'd hang on to the letter and clasped hands while wringing out every moment of my life that they could possibly steal. But Eric was normal. Completely normal. So hey, no harm done, I guess. There's another message when I got home, and for a second I thought it was him again. It was like a confirmation that, yes, I knew everything. Instead, it was a message from the ex. You know, she paused and took a deep breath. You know, I wasn't going to call again, but this is just ridiculous. I mean, what did I do? If you can tell me what I did, then we can talk about it and work it out. It's not fair that you won't talk to me. And I know you won't, and that you're choosing not to, because I drove by and your car is still... beep. Cut off. So sad. Oddly enough, I was disappointed that it wasn't Eric. I mean, call me crazy, but the fact that he'd let everything go so easily made me feel kind of slighted. Like I was the subhuman wretch that he was glad to get away from. After busying myself around the house for as long as I could, I checked the caller ID and rang him back. Yo, was the greeting. Eric, what's up? Dead air. Then... Tim? Yeah, weird, I know. No, not at all, man. What's poppin'? Yeah, I don't know. Just hanging out, and I figured I'd thank you again, you know, but maybe with like a beer or something. Silence. I'm not gay or anything, I add, slapping my hand to my forehead the minute it comes out of my mouth. Nothing wrong with that, dude. Eric finally replies. But yeah, it crossed my mind, bro. We both had a laugh. A well-lit place with plenty of people, I chuckled. Yeah, no, that's great. Sure, all signs point to yes, bro. We made plans, Eric and I, to meet that night and share a picture or something. There was a bar nearby, and as it turned out, we'd both been there once or twice. Walking distance would prevent us from wrapping ourselves around a telephone pole, or maybe worse, spending the night in a jail cell with God knows who. The bar was a little squat building tucked behind a few trees just off the main highway. Cops would actually park outside on the weekends just to catch an endless string of drunk drivers the minute they turned the ignition on. The inside of the place was just a big hollowed-out shell with an aging wooden bar and scattered metal tables with folding chairs. Real low-brow, but in a pinch, good enough to get drunk and do some virtual bowling. Hey! Eric met me with a huge, crushing hug and shook my hand. Both were crushing grips that just made me feel like a weak little kid. We took a table near the back and got to talking. For every strange or horrific story I had about my life, Eric could only relate something completely awesome that happened to him. I fell down the stairs as a kid and broke my arm. At the same age, he was the youngest person to break some track and field record. I'd been hit by a car no less than 3 times, and he'd pulled a girl from an overturned SUV and saved her life. He wasn't just normal. He was perfectly normal. I was getting kind of embarrassed by my own life story, honestly. Maybe it was the drink, but as far as I know, I only had a slight buzz going at this point. I don't know. I excused myself to use the restroom, and only partially because I had to piss. The rest was just to get away from a conversation that had me feeling like a fool. I shared the row of urinals with some crusty old dude who kept clearing his throat like it was full of gelatin. Disgusting. I ignored him for the most part, but it was difficult in the echo chamber of tile. When he went to leave, I caught sight of something disconcerting. He was missing a hand. There was only a stump, nothing beyond the wrist. My blood ran cold as he walked over to the sink and washed... well, washed what? I felt like I was going to throw up and pass out, possibly not in that order. No hand, nothing, a stump. These thoughts kept gnawing at me, turning my stomach, making me tremble in fear. But why? I'd seen people missing limbs before. I wasn't judgmental like that. what was it about this guy that made me so uneasy? I mean, like, I hated him. I wanted to throw him into some bottomless pit where I wouldn't have to look at the horrible stump ever again. Returning to the table where Eric sat, I started to feel calm returning to me. My hands stopped trembling and my stomach settled. "Long pit stop there, bro," Eric chirped. "Must have stopped to change the tires, huh?" He smirked, and I laughed again. It was an uneasy sort of laugh. Nothing like the forced behavior I always had to show in other relationships, friendships, whatever. I'd almost forgotten the incident in the men's room when I saw it across the room, just staring at me. When I noticed, it looked away toward the bar, but I know it was staring at me. It was like a person, but smaller. A short, squat human being in perfect miniature clothes with its own drink at its own table, and that's how I felt in the moment. I don't know why I had that reaction. He was just a little person. I don't know. I had this gut thing, like fuck, I know this isn't right, and I know what you must think reading this, but it didn't even register with me that he was just a human. You have to understand that this was not a conscious thought. This was an animal reaction. Something deep in the pit of my mind that just triggered and couldn't be overruled. I averted my gaze and concentrated on Eric again. "What's up, bro?" he asked, tonguing his sparkling pearl-white teeth. "I got something stuck in there, what?" Nah, I shook my head, just thinking, I'm a million miles away, man. Don't mind me right now. Eric seemed a little creeped out, and I couldn't blame him. It wouldn't be long before this sustained glance would cross the line into staring, and then it would rapidly approach the realm of frightening. I looked away toward the bar. A row of tremendous fat women with titanic asses lined the bar. I could scarcely see the stools for all that flab that cascaded forth. The backs of their necks looked like hot dog packages. Those with short hair anyway. The rest had ratty, tangled, greasy hair that... No. I closed my eyes and pressed the lids with my thumbs and pointer finger. They were fine. Nothing out of the ordinary. God, and I'd said anything about it, quipped with fat girls drink free or something. It would have made absolutely no sense. They weren't rail thin, just average. Nothing to worry about. I got up from the table abruptly. "Bro?" Eric asked. Eric. Completely normal Eric. "I have to go." I didn't make any attempt at tact. Looking at Eric, just being around him was having some sort of strange effect on me. It was like the longer I looked at his perfectly symmetrical face, brown eyes and flecks of gold, chin line and cheekbones like a fucking comic book character hero, the longer I looked at him, the worse it got. Even as I glanced at him to say I was leaving, the girls at the bar erupted in laughter at some unknown shared joke, and it sounded like a great ruckus below from the fleshy throats of some group of bovine abominations. It was nothing like Eric's laugh. I turned and searched for the door, unsure of even that. Passing by me, an emaciated, gray-skinned freak of a person with wiry, louse-filled beard looked at me
up and down as if I was the one who needed help. I shoved past the great lumbering beasts, hideous crackling hags, people twisted up noses, the lopsided eyes, row upon row of black and rotten teeth. I screamed whenever one would try to approach me, raising my hands as if I was actually going to claw at their flesh like some kind of maniac. Stumbling into the parking lot, I found myself disoriented and weak. My stomach pitched and raged as I struggled to suck in every putrid, foul-tasting breath. I remembered Eric's breath. I didn't even notice it at the time. I'd been sitting within a radius of sweet, almost lavender breath, and now my lungs felt like they were burning. My irritated windpipe seemed to swell. "Hey there." The voice sounded like a gorilla being fed through a wood chipper in slow motion and cranked to the highest volume setting. "Hey!" it repeated louder. I turned to face a police officer, his uniform straining and tearing from the massive wart-covered girth contained within. His face was a series of fat folds, out from which peered beady eyes with the emptiness of some prehistoric evolutionary mistake. Yellow-brown teeth, large and square, clacked against each other as the words belched forth. "Where are ya going tonight?" "Leave me alone." "Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to." I took a swing. "Get away! Where's Eric?" Before I knew it, I was on the gravel, face down, with the titanic lard creature on top of me. The cold surface of handcuffs pinched my wrists. "Eric!" I shrieked. "Eric! Eric!" And there he was, in the doorway. The other things, large and small, issued out of the building around him with dim eyes, some spidery and rotting, others bloated and covered in cancerous wounds. Why didn't he stop this? Why didn't he help me? How could he just look at me like... The cop walked me to his cruiser and I saw it, right there in the back seat. The most hideous, deformed, and depraved-looking thing of all. Something with such thick, oily hair and such glassy, misplaced eyes. I could scarcely believe that even I could see it, and yet it met my gaze perfectly. I begged for mercy, thrashed wildly as the cop forced me into the back seat, that bent and atrophied mockery of a living thing. But once I was inside, I was alone. I let out the most gut-wrenching, lung-emptying howl as I realized that it was my own reflection. I ended up sitting, waiting, in a room kept bare for my own safety. I knew I'd get a phone call. One phone call. When? How long until I got to make the phone call? I needed to get to a phone. I needed to hear Eric's voice. I needed to talk to Eric.